There is no heaven, there is no hell. There is only this world and its dark reflection. And we do not know in which of the two worlds we are.
Live from New York, it's the Coffee Club with your host, Felix, and your co-host,
Dr. Mark, talking from home.
Dr. Mark, why are you talking from home? You sound like you're right next to me.
Well, in a manner of speaking, in the 21st century, I probably am.
Yeah, we should put on a Skype.
This is modern technology, something that you and I have yet to master.
Absolutely. I said, but if we had a Skype, we could be looking at each other, and both of us take a sip of coffee at the same time, as I'm doing right now.
It's true, but I know, and so am I. But people should realize that if we're not in sync too much tonight, it's because I can't see you and you can't see me. But I do have one question, Felix.
Absolutely.
After the initial intro, the first one, mm-hmm. You like that guy, don't you?
Yeah, I do.
There is no heaven. Did you tell people you're related to him?
No, not yet.
Did you tell people that that's actually you in another voice?
No, I didn't tell them that neither.
Well, people should realize how skilled you are. I mean, we may not be tech savvy, but the bottom line is you really do, throw your voice very well.
Why, thank you.
I mean, the first time I heard you do that, it gave me the willies. I had goosebumps up and down my spine.
Why, thank you.
I had no idea what you were going to have in store for us.
You don't.
You reminded me of. Do you remember the DJ Zachary?
Yeah, that's what I was just going to say.
Well, that's what you reminded me of. Boy, I tell you, I really miss him on Halloween. Ever since he passed away. But maybe he's going to come back.
Yeah. Maybe in the past...
We've discussed that before.
Maybe in the past life I was a vampire or something.
Nothing that glorious.
Yeah.
Maybe a werewolf,
Oh.
But anyway...
Yeah.
Anyway, on with our show.
Okay, today's show, we're going to talk about why does Vladimir want the Ukraine that badly? I mean, what does he need there that's so valuable? It's a poor country. It doesn't have much resources. So what does he actually need? What do you think?
Well, the only thing I can think of is, two things. The Crimea, which you and I discussed, off, not on radio, but we discussed it amongst ourselves, is valuable to him because those people are basically, if you ask them, they say they're Russian. Okay, they speak Russian, their culture is Russian, their heritage is Russian, number one. Number two, isn't, if I recall correctly, the Crimea close to waterways, the water?
There is a Russian there's a Russian base there on the water.
Okay. Well, that's important to him because Russia being mainly, it's such a vast country, They need waterways as an outlet, and that's one thing. The other thing is, I guess, to throw his weight around, his might. He wants to be another world. He wants to regain as much of the reputation and power that the old Russia had. Okay, under communism. The best thing that happened to him so far was when the U.S. came to him to try to negotiate some sort of a settlement in Syria. Okay, I believe it was Syria or...
Syria and
yeah, it was Syria, wasn't it?
And Iran also, I believe he helped out.
Okay, so the bottom line is, he's trying to regain political clout. And, of course, anytime he can do this at the expense of the United States is a big plus. Mm-hmm. But, I just watched the news, and I tell you, Lindsey Graham and John McCain make me absolutely sick. These two guys would love to have the United States with boots on the ground everywhere. They keep saying no, but they also keep saying that Obama doesn't do enough. Well, the bottom line is, look at what we lost with more than 10 years in Afghanistan between lives and bodies and in human cost, and in Iraq. I mean, we can't keep doing this, It's, Phil Oakes said in one of his songs, "It's always the old who lead us to the war and always the young to fall." Well, the bottom line is, I'll give them their props. John McCain was a prisoner of war for 5.5 years in Vietnam. He was a captain in the Navy. Lindsey Graham achieved the rank of brigadier general, okay, mainly as a reservist. Okay, but still, these guys aren't going to go fight the war. Younger people are going to fight the war.
Well,
I mean, this is just it's unconscionable.
Well, the question is, I guess we're asking, is what do we do about it? Just to let him walk all over the Ukraine? Or what do you do?
Well, the first thing, obviously, people say it's not going to do any good. You go to the Security Council of the UN, of which Russia and the United States are members, and you plead your case. You try to put as much pressure on Russia as possible. Okay? There are certain things that Russia obviously needs from the West, and if we could get other countries in the the EU or the European Union, to put heavy penalties on Russia.
Sanctions,
it might sanctions, exactly. It might pay off. But I mean.
Well, the problem is that first thing is 60% of the people are Russian-speaking. There are another 40% that aren't. Yes, so the majority of the people there are of Russian descent. But how many of them actually want to go with Russia, we don't know for sure. It would appear that they don't mind having the troops there because they're keeping peace. They're saying that 11-hour deadline that they gave the Ukraine to pull the troops, nobody in Russia will admit that they actually did it. And I think that 11 hours should have passed. I haven't looked. But I don't think Russia has done anything. Have you listened to the news in the last hour or two?
I haven't heard anything about that either. So,
But
for all I know, the troops are obviously...
You heard about the 11 hour, you heard about the deadline.
Right.
Okay, so I don't know what Putin is doing. Now, the problem is, and who was it that said, walk softly with a big stick?
That was Teddy Roosevelt.
Okay, I'm just looking.
Who was a Republican, mind you.
Yeah, yep. Okay, I'm looking at here. Ukraine, 16,000 Russian troops sent to Crimea. So that's new news. I'm just looking at CNN right now. So, U.S. Trade Representative spokesman, we have suspended upcoming bilateral trade and investment engagement with Russia's government.
Now, don't forget also the E8 is supposed to meet there.
Well, that's what they're talking about.
I believe next. Yeah, I think it was supposed to be the end of this month or next month.
Well, that's what they're talking about.
Yeah.
That the U.S. Trade Representative spoke to, we have a suspended upcoming bilateral trade investment agreement with Russia's government. I'm sure that's what they're talking about. But, so 16,000 troops, that's a lot of troops. That's all I can say. It's a lot of people.
At the height, it's we had that many troops in Afghanistan and in Iraq, and more. And this was done virtually overnight. Shortly after the outbreak of tension, the troops were mobilized.
No, I understand that. I'm just saying, but you think about the 16,000 troops in a small area like, how's it pronounced? Crimea, I guess.
Crimea.
Yeah. So it's not a very, big part of, of anything. Ukraine is not that gigantic.
No, it's not. But the point is, if the Ukrainian people don't care, so let Russia annex the Crimea, but leave the rest of the Ukraine alone. What are you going to do? You're going to have, how are you going to divide it up? Kiev is where most of the protesting is going on, because Kiev is in northwestern, not so much western, the mid-northern part of Ukraine, and they feel they would like to align more with Western Europe, okay, rather than Russia. So, you can't build a wall. It's a heck of a big wall if you're going to do it, like Russia did in Berlin overnight. We just have to see how this is going to play out, really.
The problem is that our president right now has absolutely no credibility with the international community. He gave a red line to Syria, backed out.
Well, that was a mistake. Okay, he mentioned the red line, and that was a big joke, because I think he did that too soon.
And when
but that's in the past.
It's not in the past, because what happens is now when the Syrians actually used it, we did nothing when they used chemical warfare. And now Obama again sort of gave Putin no, you're not allowed to do this. You're being a bad boy. And
what's he going to do, slap his wrist?
Exactly.
But you see, that's something that McCain and Graham would say. There's got to be more than just verbal chastisement, okay? And what really can we do? Russia sent troops into the Ukraine, which is a sovereign country unto itself. It sounds very familiar. The United States did that in Afghanistan. We did that in Iraq, okay? So how can we now turn around and say, oh, you shouldn't have done that? We did the same thing.
Yeah, we did. But we went into areas that were they were at least doing something to people were doing something to the U.S. or threatening of doing something, or we will perceive them as being a threat. I'm not saying it's true or not.
Well,
and I don't
well,
see...
Putin, look at it this way. Ukraine is in Putin's backyard. He could turn around and say, I only send troops in because I'm worried that this may spread to Russia. He would be right in saying that, And I remember when the Olympics was still on, politicians were saying, well, Putin better be careful because this is right in his backyard. And many Russian people, while they say that life under Putin is a little better as far as, monetarily, et cetera, business-wise, but as far as personal civil liberties are concerned, he has a lid on it, the whole business about homophobia, and gays, locking them up, people who want, your street corner protester gets arrested and put away somewhere. They don't exactly send you to Siberia anymore, but, the memories linger from back during the Cold War, under Khrushchev and all the rest of them.
Again, like I said, the big problem is, I think that's what McCain is saying, basically, is Russia is not worried about us anymore.
Even if we were to send naval ships, naval vessels, okay, as a show of strength, all right, Russia could always say that, this is this is within our hemisphere, and you can't do this. This is a tantamount to an act of aggression on your part,
Plus, we're cutting down our Navy in half, so we don't have too many ships. We're going down from like 600.
Well, we're cutting down, very greatly on our military, because as they said before, they said, look, the bottom line here is that with modern technology and missiles, et cetera, and drones, you don't need that many people, okay? We already decided and we already said we can't be the world's policeman anymore, even though everybody expects America to do something, Now, I'm not saying we go back to being an isolationist, but we can't send tens of thousands of troops into a country, and leave ourselves defenseless just in case you get some nut who tries some sort of act of terror here.
Before we forget, Mark, I want to remind our audience, you can call in and join our conversation. Our phone number is 646-595-3275. All right, so we need to get that out of the way in case one of our listeners actually calls in.
Well, it would be nice to hear somebody else's point of view other than yours and mine. I know I've always said it, and so have you. Yeah. If no one else calls up, then it's just you and I shooting the breeze as if we were having our own cup of coffee in a cafe, which in effect we are. Discussing current events, almost like you would if you were still in school, and what would you do? Okay, I'd like to know if somebody out there, agrees with us, disagrees with us. We're certainly putting forth an effort here to keep the conversation alive. Once again, Felix and I are not experts. These are just opinions, okay? And you know what people say about opinions. I don't want to get vulgar, but the bottom line is everybody has an opinion, and your opinion is just as good as mine or Felix's.
So, yeah, please, if you can, call in. If not, enjoy the show. But anyway, let's go back to the Ukraine. The problem is, I think I said it before, is the U.S. Still probably one of the mightiest country in the world. Has lost a lot of the respect they used to have. Nobody's worried.
But Felix, you saw the demographic, the charts on the news, where as far as military spending goes, we spend as much as, I don't know, the first 15 countries below us spend combined, at least. And that includes Russia.
I'm not disagreeing with you. What I'm saying.
No. I know that.
I said we are the strongest country militarily in the world, but we are no longer respected. Even though we have more. Whatever we have, more aircrafts, more airplane, more ships, battleships, nuclear submarines, whatever.
Well, I remember one.
Yeah, go ahead.
One of my Sunday shows, they said, the U.S. still has, I believe, 11 to 14 aircraft carriers still in use. No other country has an aircraft carrier. The reason we spend so much is because drones cost money. All this modern technology costs money. The cheapest thing to have is a fighting man, a soldier, okay, a fighting person, because women are in combat as well, okay? So let's just designate it as soldier. That's the cheapest thing to fund, okay? You figure it out. A person in the Army, they're lucky if they make $30,000, $38,000, for maybe that's even a lieutenant. I don't know if that's a lieutenant even. Maybe it's, yes, they get free medical. Yes, their family gets free medical. If their family lives on the base, they get free housing. However, under Chuck Hagel's new budget, guess what they're going to take away? The free housing on the base, okay? If you are an active serviceman and your family lives with you, on the base, you're going to have to pay for your housing now. This is unheard of. This is an expense that soldiers never had to worry about,
Well,
they can't demand a raise because they're federal employees. And they can't go on strike either.
Oh, I don't think so. A strike when they're on the battle
what?
line.
No. I know, but the point is, they have no outlet. Okay, under the new under the proposed budget for the armed forces, Chuck Hagel is one of the things he's taking away is free housing. Which means the only thing they're going to have is they'll have their free medical and they'll have their PX privileges, which means that if you buy, like if you go to the it's not real. I think of a Walmart type of thing on the base. Okay, prices are much lower, but in order to shop there, you have to be active duty or you have to be retired military with 20 years experience, 20 years service, and so you have to show proof. But who knows when they'll take that away?
Well, that's really not an expense to them except for the taxes they don't collect. That's the big thing. That's there's the best buy soldiers, the best buy on base are cigarettes and liquor because they're the highest tax.
Well, of course,
they're the highest.
Of course,
tax.
Of course. But the bottom line is, active duty soldiers in a combat zone do not pay taxes. Okay, so if you're in Afghanistan, if you're in Iraq, or or Syria or Jordan, the bottom line is you don't pay taxes if you're deployed. If you're on the base, obviously you pay taxes, but at a much reduced rate. You get a break.
You're
Okay.
talking about income taxes now?
Yes. Yes.
Okay. I mean, soldiers make more than they used to. That we know, but still, it's not enough.
Felix, everything is relative. You know that. I mean, let's go back. Let's go back to what your father and my father earned. Okay, back in the 50s. Let's go back 60 years ago. Okay, people earned what? $60 a week, $65 a week, and I'm talking about somebody with just a high school diploma, not somebody who has a college degree and is a professional. Bottom line is, rent was what? Many people paid, they lived in walk-ups, and they paid rent by the week, not so much, maybe not even by the month. So, and how much was it? It couldn't have been too much. Maybe the rent was 40 some odd dollars a month. I'm talking about, again, very early 50s. Okay, if you made $5,000 a year, it was a decent salary. You could live. I remember when I started teaching. I was making $7,800 a year. Okay, and my friends and I used to say to each other, boy, if we were making $15,000, which was only a little bit more than twice what we were earning then, and then when I finally reached $15,000, it was nothing. Right. Now you talk about the average starting teacher makes $40,000 a year or $42,000 a year, okay, and you can't even live in a decent place in New York on that kind of salary.
Okay, we have a caller.
A cop will.
We have a caller.
Oh, we do. Okay.
Okay, who's on the line?
You got Dan on the line.
I got Dan.
Dan.
Sounds like an angry Dan.
Mark, you're back. Dr. Mark, you're back. You're back.
Well, in a manner of speaking, I'm back. Yes, I am at home.
Well, I don't feel mentally back, but you're back.
Well, mentally back or physically?
Right, that's the...
but yes, I am.
I listened for a few minutes. I just logged on. I'm listening for a few minutes. Go back to your main topic. Why do you think the Russian president is doing what he's doing? Why is he going after?
Go ahead, Felix.
Basically because of
Felix?
Basically because of the Crimea and its access. What I think was the Black Sea, is it? And the access to the Black Sea, which they need very badly, and they have a naval base there. And if the
let's put it this let's put it this way. I want to interject some humor. Dan, do you remember that picture of him riding topless on that horse? All the jokes about his nipples. Well, he has a way. He has a way of making his nipples do a dance, like some comedians do. All right? He wants to flex his muscles, basically. He wants to show that, I'm not somebody you could push around. That what I say, when I say something, and this is in opposition, let's say, to the way some people look at Obama. If I say something, I mean it, and I do it. Okay? Felix and I were just saying before, the problem is Felix had said that Obama has lost a little bit of his reputation, in the European circles because he doesn't back up what he says.
What's funny is I always didn't want to call in because if you turn on CNN, they're talking about your topic. Why is Russia doing this? They're on right now with Pierce Morgan and a couple other hosts. Right now, I almost said calling. I'm listening to this show before I call your show. They're talking about it right now.
Well,
about Russia and
again,
it's weird. It's funny. This what happened.
Well, it's a big topic.
I don't know
right
what.
now.
I don't know.
Yeah, go ahead. You don't know what.
Yeah, they're talking about it right now.
I'm sure it's the main topic on many, news programs.
But why? But to me, you guys tell me. I don't know what. I guess the Putin is he's trying. I don't know. To me, it seems like a Hitler. He's just trying to take his country back.
Well,
he's trying to get them back into the country.
Well, don't forget that part of Hitler's rise to power. Hitler took over. First of all, he had to prove that the Weimar Republic, the democratic government of Germany after World War I, that they allowed the Allies to walk all over Germany. They blamed Germany for everything. Germany had to pay war reparations. They weren't allowed to have an army. They weren't allowed to organize. And the first thing that he saw was he had to build up the nationalism within the country. Okay? Many of the people in Russia now, in comparison to, let's say, the days of communism, they're living fairly well. They have jobs. They have liberties that they didn't have before, up to a point. Life in Russia is fine if you're anything but a homosexual or a dissident talking about the government. Okay, so he wants to show that he is, that he can regain the strength and that he had before,
right.
Politically and militarily within that area, so I can understand why he's doing it.
I think he's pissed. He's pissed off what happened, the Cold War, and he's pissed. He's bringing his country back. His country, he's bringing it back. I think he's pissed off.
It's a much more simple reason, Dan. He doesn't give a shit about any part of the Ukraine. He doesn't care if it gets flushed down the toilet. What he cares about is the ocean, access to the Black Sea. He's got a naval base there, and he must have that access. If for any reason that part of the country joins the West, they may tell him to get the hell out and close up your base. We don't want you. So that's why he's there. Nothing else matters to him.
The question is,
he wants that access.
Felix, my big question is, what are we, the USA, is going to do about this? Because this is going to cause a huge problem.
We're not going to do it.
There isn't very much, Dan. There isn't very much we can do. Other than sanctions, we could talk strongly to them. We could slap them on the wrist. But, the U.S., if you ask the average person on the street, no one is anxious to start sending troops, or naval vessels, other than a show of strength, or put boots on the ground. Because, number one, that's not our country. Number two, Putin can always say that that's an act of aggression because this is right in his backyard. Look at what happened when Russia sent missiles and troops into Cuba. One of the first things, the big argument that Kennedy had about that, and Eisenhower at the tail end of his presidency was, the bottom line is, that's 90 miles from my country. That's in the Western Hemisphere. What are you doing sending your troops and missiles? And those missiles from Cuba could hit New York, could hit Washington, So here you have it in reverse. If we send troops in there, he's going to say, this is my neck of the woods. What are you doing?
When we always talk about this stuff, I just feel America's tired of going to battle for someone else's battle. I mean,
yes, we are. Yes, they are.
We don't want to see our young troops die. We're tired of promises that we're going to pull out. And why do we fight? Why would we fight this war for? Let them fight it out. I don't
Putin sent the word out. Okay, that everybody, all the reservists, age 39 and below. They said 40, but I think it's, if you hit 40, well, maybe it is 40. Everybody's being called up, okay? During World War II, the draft age was anybody 36 and younger. Now, men 36 years old were married for a number of years, had children. You're not talking about young boys who were first becoming men at 19 and 20. Okay, yes, you had your fair share of young soldiers, but the majority of your soldiers were in their late 20s, early 30s, okay? So what Putin's doing is he's calling up these reservists and saying, we need you now, okay? Almost like if you were in Israel and you were a reservist and the sirens go off, okay? Everybody who's a reservist stops what they're doing, gets their uniform, and reports to the base that they're attached to, okay?
I didn't hear
that.
When did you hear that, Mark?
But Israel, I got a lot of Jewish friends, and it's mandatory. They have to go into the military. Mandatory.
Of course.
It's not
that's it. When they turn 18 or 20, when they turn 18 or 20, everybody, men and women, do 2 years of active duty, and then they're in the reserves for something like 6 to 8 years or something, or I don't even know if there's a limit, because if there's ever a war, I remember my neighbor who's Israeli saying that, if you're a reservist, no matter what age you are, I mean, up to a certain point, you stop what you're doing and you report.
Oh, well, I don't know about that part. I'm not trying to make, my point is just that, there's no, draft anymore here. I mean, when I graduated high school, I did that somewhere in whatever, junior or senior, I had to go fill paperwork out, but obviously there was no draft. But Israelis, they mandatory, they go.
Everybody goes.
Seriously.
Everybody goes except the real religious Hasidic Jews. They don't go.
Why is that?
Well, when you think about a draft, you see, they were thinking about reinstituting the draft here for a number of reasons, but one of them is that with an all-volunteer army, okay, one of the complaints that people were saying about the volunteer army is that you have, when it comes to supporting the war, which was a big problem in Vietnam and in Iraq and in Afghanistan, only about 1 to 3% of the people actually know somebody who enlisted, okay, or who is fighting over there. For the most of us, this is life as usual. People get up and go to work. People get up and go to work. Their lives are unaffected. They said if there was a draft, more people would be involved and interested. However, there would be many more people also looking to flee the draft, although, in Iraq we had UN troops, so I think you couldn't even go to Canada then. I don't know what it is in Afghanistan, but,
the problem with our government is that, like World War I, World War II, there was a reason to fight. Now there seems no reason to fight. I mean, why are you sending troops over there? And I'm 40. I wouldn't want to pick up a gun and shoot somebody over oil. Shoot somebody over like Russia. It's not my problem.
Not only that, the government lied to us.
Right,
okay?
They lie. Right.
Originally, the Iraq War was going to pay for itself number one, in oil, and number two, when they got all these billions of dollars that Saddam Hussein had hidden away.
Right.
Well, the bottom line is, if there were billions of dollars, it's in somebody's basement. It's not in mine, and it's not in the government's. It's not at Fort Knox. And as far as the oil goes, like back in the Gulf War, they burned them.
They burned them. So why? I was I almost went to the military, but after high school, I didn't know what I wanted to do with my life. And my father, and mother, and said, "You're not going. We're sending you off to college, not to the military." But at the same time, they're probably right. I should listen to them more. I would have been in the Gulf War. What am I fighting over? 5 cents? Say 5 cents? It didn't even work.
Well,
anyway.
That's it. 20 years ago or so, you would have been in the Gulf War.
Right, I would have been in the Gulf War. I would have been.
Yeah.
I tried to sign military. I didn't know what I wanted to do with my life. I said, let me do the military. Because my father and his brother all went to the military. And they said, don't do it because it's not like it used to be. Not about what are you fighting for? We're not fighting for to save the country. So if you want to save our country, then go. But it wasn't about that.
Well, you see, you remember after 9/11.
Right,
After 9/11, there was a big increase in the amount of enlistees because people felt that they felt they had to do something.
Right.
Okay. Now, this was also prior to the Iraq War. The Iraq War started in 2003, and this was 2001. But many people quit what they were doing, and enlisted in the service.
I was in the air freight and trucking, and I got so upset what happened in the World Trade Center, and I said, I want to do something. I want to fight. I was so mad. I was so upset, like you're saying that. But it's just I didn't do it. But at the same time, I just want to do something. The government could have a chance there to say, hey, this is a point to fight. I'm pissed off someone did something to our country, and you fight for it. But in the end, what's sad too, Mark and Felix, after the trade centers came down, and obviously we all know we were when that happened. But the big fight between the policemen and the firefighters about the money that was down below, that really got me pissed off. What happened with that? They were fighting over the money down below. Obviously, they are heroes. Firefighters and cops, but a lot of them were fighting down after the towers came down. All the money was down there.
Well, unfortunately, the money belonged to the TBTA, I believe, and private people. It belonged to the Triborough Bridge and Tunnel Authority. It belonged to people who had savings accounts. I'm assuming you're talking about the vaults in the bank or whatever.
Right. That's what I'm talking about, Mark. Right. I'm just telling. Not that I don't want to talk too much on the radio, but people that I know, they're saying they had big problem with cops and firefighters. They're fighting over the money, who's grabbing what. I mean, they did their job. Obviously, we all know that. They're heroes. They went to the towers, they lost all their lives, and are heroes. Well, but they were, towards the end, they were fighting over the money.
Well, one of the big problems, talk about fighting over anything, I think, is that 9/11 showed the lack of communication between police and fire,
right.
between the FBI, the CIA, the NSA, and local, organizations. No one was willing to share information that they had. Okay? Now, let's face it, guys. We're all on the same side here.
Yeah. That's we thought.
I mean, we should be working together. Okay? But everybody kept information to themselves. And that was one of the things that came out in the report, that the bottom line is, you guys got to learn to share your information. It doesn't do any good if it's locked up, in some computer, because then you got somebody like Edward Snowden who's going to turn around and just release it to the public anyway for nothing. No, but seriously though, I just threw that in there. But the bottom line is, that's what happens. What good is that information doing you?
when you really want to get scared, I think I brought his name up before. Alex Jones. That I don't know if you know him. He's a news guy. He was, as a matter of fact, he was just on Morgan Pierce show a little while ago, and he brought up 9/11, and it's the creepiest thing ever. Because Alex Jones, I don't know if you know who he is. If you just type him in, Google him, you'll know who he is. He not predicted. He actually was talked about 9/11 before it even happened. He said planes. He's very energetic and very passionate, and he said planes are gonna hit. And this is before it happened. He goes, planes are gonna hit the World Trade Center. Why is anybody listening to me? Why?
Well, because nobody listened to Nostradamus either. Don't forget.
Well, yeah, I like Nostradamus. You're right, but I mean that's just creepy to hear him. If you play it, look, if you look up Alex Jones now or last night, he said it before it happened, and he said the planes are coming. The planes are going to hit the World Trade Center. He goes, why is anyone listening to me? And it was only a few months later. We all know what happened. It was creepy to hear him say it.
One of the things is that the United States has never really been in a war within the United States. We've never really had a lot of terror. We don't even know what that is, basically. So nobody's
the only fighting that ever took place within this country is the Revolutionary War and the Civil War.
Yeah.
Right.
We've never been attacked by a foreign government, and no offense, and I don't mean to be vulgar, but our cherry burst on 9/11, and at Pearl Harbor.
Right.
Hawaii was part of the United States. It wasn't a state at the time, but it was a territory.
Well,
when the Japanese bombed Pearl Harbor, that was a rude, on a Sunday no less, that was a rude awakening.
What do you know?
They say that we got so lucky, Mark, because the United States is this body of water. We didn't have enemies like the Russians do with. We weren't, Europe. They're all next to each other, so they fight. We have no one that other Canada. We're not going to fight Canada, but there's no. We're surrounded by the water, and we were protected all these years.
Well, we do have protection against Russia. You know that, don't you?
Well, what do you mean by that?
Sarah Palin can see Russia from her house.
Yeah, she sees mission planes going over.
She sees the planes coming, and she says, "Wait a second, where are you going? This is America. You can't come here. Go back." She says that all the time.
That was the funniest interview ever when Sarah Palin said that. Well, I see planes going over. That was so funny. But America is protected. We don't have any. We have a lot of water around us. We're not. We're not going to get attacked. It's not going to happen.
Well,
I just don't like that we don't take care of our own people, but financially and health-wise. But yeah,
I know what you're saying. There's a lot to be said for First of all, you had a lot of Americans who were up in arms when the government said they're going to settle with the families of surviving families of those who were killed on 9/11. And that also, I believe, went for police and firemen who were killed. That depending upon their circumstances, there was a fund generated, and each family would get according to what they needed, what they were supposed to get. If they had young children, they would be getting the most money. People who had older children who were working already, then they got less money. It's like they used an actuarial table, more or less. People would compare that to a soldier who gets killed in the line of duty. His wife gets a one-time death benefit, which doesn't come anywhere near the hundreds of thousands of dollars that the victims from 9/11 were getting, And then you had people turn around and say, well, back in '93 when they tried to bomb the World Trade Center the first time.
Right, the first time,
okay,
right.
You know, people were killed, people were injured, they got nothing. So they're saying, hey, wait a second, you know. So, you hate to admit it and you hate to say it, but everything boils down to money.
It
you
does.
know,
Look,
you tell me, God forbid a relative dies in an operation, and right away some lawyer knocks on your door and says, well, I bet the doctor did something wrong. Okay? Now, obviously, that's why doctors have malpractice, but the bottom line is the money is not going to bring back the dead person. You know, the person's still dead. You know, you're looking to cash in on a tragedy that happened to you, a misfortune that happened to you.
Right. I think, Mark and Felix, I think we live in the greatest, I really do believe we live in the greatest country ever.
Amen.
Oh, we do. I do believe that, but we got a lot of problems. So
and listen, only in a country like this can you have people like Sarah Palin, Michelle Bachmann, Ted Cruz, okay, Louis Gohmert, Stephen King, not Stephen, not the writer Stephen King, but this guy from Iowa,
writer,
the representative. You know, I mean, you can have all these people, and as long as they're not talking about the overthrow of the government, they could say anything they want, okay? And all they're doing is showing their own stupidity, you know? I mean, you can have a guy who was governor of Texas, such as Perry, decide to run for president, who can't think of the three agencies, he can't remember the third one that he wants to do away with, you know, on a national debate, you know? But it's his right to decide to run for president. You know, only in a country like America. That's
right.
What makes it so great.
That's why that's
why that song by Jay and the Americans is so true.
And
only
Mark,
in America, you know, what?
And only in America can you put down so many people and not get arrested for it.
Well, it's true. I mean, that's because they're not listening to our show. You know? I'm hoping anyway, you know.
Yeah.
Hey, listen, I'm no different than Rush Limbaugh. Only I'm a progressive liberal, and he's all the way on the.
Hello? Anybody there? Hello? Hello?
Has recently changed. Please listen carefully.
Since it appears you're calling back into a live show, we are reconnecting you now.
So I'm just sharing it with.
Okay.
Menu has recently changed. Please.
Since it appears you're calling back into a live show, we are reconnecting you now.
Still, what makes us drive and why we're the policemen of the world. They don't understand it.
Well, there are a lot of Americans who don't understand that either.
Hey guys, let me cut you off a second.
I'm sorry, not to. Well, what makes us not understand it is that our own country is like, why are we going to battle and our own country is hurting? Why are we doing why are we doing it now?
Guys, stop talking for a minute. We were disconnected.
I know.
For about 2 minutes.
What?
We were disconnected for about 2 minutes, just so you know. So whatever you guys have been talking about in the last couple of minutes, nobody could hear. We were disconnected.
Well, Dan, excuse me. Why don't you, say what you were saying about how proud you ought to be an American? Basically, that's what you were saying.
I am very, after this recent experience, I'm 4 years old, and going to Hilton, and a lot of foreigners come in, and I like their accents, and I like talking to how they feel about us. Every time, I guess my accent is there too, just being a New Yorker, and they always say, you're a local. I'm saying I'm local. And they don't understand our politics, and they don't understand our strength as far as we're a small country. I mean, we're only, 300 million people in the United States. And these people were going out to countries that have a billion people in them. And like, why do you guys care? They don't understand the ambition. They don't understand it. And
no, the only countries that may have close to 1 billion people are China. I believe China.
India and
really.
Africa.
We don't come anywhere near 1 billion people. I don't think.
No, we're 300. I think 300 million people in the United States is. So they don't understand where. They admire us. They don't understand us, though. They don't understand that the ambition, the drive to do something. That's what we're all afraid of. We love capitalism in the United States, and I think we're afraid of socialism with Obamacare. We're afraid of just that someone telling us what to do. That's not how we were founded. We fight, and we just move on. We just do it. But these other countries...
America always seems to have an affinity, for the underdog. The person who's being trod upon by the evil giant, the ogre, okay, the one who's oppressing them, because we remember what it was like, only from books, mind you, but we remember what it was like in the Revolutionary War when we had no representation and we were fighting against the British, so... this is part of our DNA.
Now, why do we fight the British, Mark?
Well, the big thing was taxation without representation.
I'm sure you're more educated than I am, but I learned a lot about that fight we had with them. It was about represent money, but it was about money. It was just about we said, screw you, we don't need you guys anymore.
What happened in essence was farmers were raising crops. They were forced to send it back to England, and England was charging us for the crops.
Right.
When we needed stuff, they would charge us for the crops that we sent to them originally.
Right.
Okay.
Right. Oh, that it's that whole war goes. Some people died over that. It's crazy.
People died over money.
The war does. The problem, Mark, is the war, unfortunately, makes money.
During wartime, if you remember World War II.
I wasn't born yet, but I do know you talk.
No, from reading. It was before my time, too. But, during World War II, or during any war, the United States always had close to 100%, the workers. The unemployment rate was extremely low.
Right.
Employment was very high during a war. The men were in the army, so they were away at war. And machinery and manufacturing didn't stop because what happened was women took the place of their husbands in the factories. Rosie the Riveter.
Right, Rosie the Riveter, the famous picture, of course.
Well, we had to keep building, we had to keep making more ammunition, building more tanks.
Well, it goes, if you look at the market, it goes, the war makes money, and it even goes even deeper with the problem we have with fuel, oil, because that makes money too for everybody. So you gotta create a war to make money, and they keep people
makes money for Dick Cheney.
Right, Dick Cheney. What's the problem with the economy? But again, great country we have, but we got some little loopholes like Dick Cheney. Exactly right.
And people like Jamie Dimon, AIG or whatever it is, Goldman Sachs. These guys get golden parachutes. They get a bonus Christmas time of more money than you and I could make in 3 lifetimes.
Yeah, I know. It goes to me. We go further, like Bernie Madoff. He's like the only one that got burnt. I almost feel bad for him. He's the only one that got he got the nail to him. You know.
Well, you got to say to yourself, I wonder who he hurt to be the only one. Because there are other people like him with Ponzi schemes.
He hurt a lot of rich
It must
people.
have been a politician. Everyone else, no one else went to jail over this stuff. I mean, no one did, but him.
Because he hurt influential people. He hurt rich people.
Right.
People needed a
That's
lot.
it.
People needed a lot of money just to invest in his scheme.
Felix, I got to say something about you. You may not say much, but when you say something, you're right on target.
Well, thank you.
And the reason you don't say much is because I have a big mouth.
That's true. And Dan
Well,
is not doing so bad himself today.
Oh, Dan is great at carrying the torch, let me tell you.
Absolutely.
And the weathermen actually, I must say, the weathermen really, totally off topic, but the weathermen have been actually pretty good. They say storm comes, it comes. We had no snow. They told me no snow's coming.
Well, I'll tell you, as of last night, they were saying that because of the way the storm was coming, they were going to get more down in Philly and Washington. They were calling for 4 to 8 here, but they said we were going to be closer to the 4 inches. Well, 4 inches wasn't so bad. As it was, we just got a dusting, and that's fine with me.
I heard yesterday 1 to 3 inches. Yesterday.
I know definitely way off topic here, but it's just funny. The weathermen to
how
me
did this get to the Ukraine? I don't know.
What's the weather like
let's
in
go back to.
You're talking
I
about...
don't know what the latest update is as we're talking. I don't know if you guys are watching news and as I'm talking to you, but that's definitely a messed up situation. It really is bad.
Well, I don't know.
I just don't want to get us.
Time out. Gentlemen, time out. Ladies and gentlemen, if anybody would like to call us up, we haven't done this since the first 5 minutes of the show. The number is 646-595-3275. Come on in and join the entertainment here. Join the conversation. We'd love to hear what you have to say. Okay, continue.
No, we're talking about
I think after hearing us guys,
Dan, let the House speak. Does anybody really know anything about the Ukraine? Besides what you're hearing in the news, the history, or anything else?
Well, other than it was part of the...
I think
it was part of the Russian bloc. Before it was disbanded, and then you wound up with all the Uzbekistan and this stan and that stan, and you always had Yugoslavia, okay, which was under the Russian umbrella, but it had its own ruler. Okay, and it was about as independent as a Russian satellite could be, But the Ukraine was one of those countries that were formed. Czechoslovakia was another one. The Czech Republic, Belarus. All these countries, Georgia, all these little areas formed when the wall came down and communism fell.
Because,
what do you think
you have one side.
Listen,
in Ukraine you have one side which is a lot of Russians. On the other side, it's got a lot of Polish people. Because Ukraine was always being split up. It was part of Poland, a large part of it was part of Poland, a large part of it was part of Russia, and it was always being sliced up. So it's, I don't really think it had a, after World War II, it got a pretty good border. It was even those Russian province or under Russian control, it probably was the
Well,
largest
with
that it has been.
with the exception of France and Great Britain, and Germany, even though they were part of the Axis power, a lot of Europe, it was like a pie. It got cut up, and Russia got rewarded by getting territory, Russia, I think, got the bulk of what was there. I mean, I don't think the United States wanted any part of it. We had our own country, I mean, and Russia figured, well, this is about as close to their sphere of influence as can be, but then they realized that they just could not, under communism at least, they could not control such a vast area. And that's why when communism fell, a lot of these places went independent, and formed their own governments, etc. Nothing big or anything, but, big enough. What can I tell you?
What is the president trying to do there? What is he trying to prove? Or what is he trying to do?
I told you, the only thing he's interested in is the Black Sea and the free entrance to it. Because otherwise, they have no water access in that area of the world. So they need that part of Ukraine.
I know that's fine. Okay, I'm just asking a question. I just think Americans are tired. Before I go here, I think Americans are tired of these wars, fighting for something that has nothing to do with us. I'm tired of it. I'm tired of seeing my tax dollars go to see our military die over. I thought military was for protection.
Okay, so
I thought that's.
Do you like the libertarian line?
I don't know. I don't know if it's just a different generation than you, but I'm tired of my cousins in the military. We did the 3 tours, and he told me, face to face, I'm fighting for nothing. We're fighting for nothing.
Well, but you see, why he stays in. For the most part, he stays in because he knows there are very few jobs out there.
Oh, wait a minute. That's another. I'm sorry to cut you off, Mark. I'd like to hear what you say. He's not part of the problem, but he is actually smart. He's doing the right thing. He's actually, I'll never mention names. My cousin, he's a cop. So now he goes off to war.
Well, he's a reservist.
And then. Yeah, but he gets called. He wants to do tours, so that's part of the problem. But who's paying for what? So I love him to death. I mean, he fought for our country, fights for our country. He gets paid, I think, $3,900 a month for the military, which is, nothingness. But then he also got that. Then he gets paid his salary for being a cop in Jersey. So he's making. Look, I'm proud of him what he did and what he does. Proud of him. I love him. But that's part of the problem. He told me the story how bad it was over there in Afghanistan, but yet he got paid $3,900 a month from our government to sit in the sand, and then he got his being a state trooper in Jersey. He got paid. He made so much money. It was unbelievable. That's
probably because while he's nationalized and overseas, his family gets a lot of benefits.
He gets full salary.
If you drive by, I just drove by. I know Phil, she'll appreciate this story. I went to Harold's.
Oh, you did, huh?
I went to Harold's New York Deli.
The nerve of you!
How dare me! And you missed out. That food's so damn good. But you drive over to Verrazano to go to Harold's. That Fort Hamilton's right there.
Right.
It's all redone. It's all brand new. It's all brand new housing. And I'm not that look. I love the military. Great. I mean, they protect us, and But I'm looking at it. It's all brand new. If you go by Belt Parkway before the Verrazano, all the homes are redone for the spouses, I guess, or husbands, wives. It's all redone. I'm like, well, what are we doing it for? We're fighting for what? That's what I say. The question: what are you fighting for? It's just these beautiful homes now. You gotta see them. They're all drive by the Belt. Go to Verrazano, Harold's.
Hey,
you gotta see those homes. They're all brand new, redone.
I got a great idea. Listen to this, Dr. Mark, and also Dan, and if Dr. Don is listening in. How about if we all go to Harold's? How about if we all go to Harold's and broadcast a show from Harold's?
I was just going to say that. Maybe we'll just broadcast from there.
They would not let you do that.
How would they know if we're doing it or not?
You can't do that. First of all, you can't stay at a table that long, number one.
What?
At some point, you have to eat. No, listen, at some point, you have to eat, and I don't think people are going to want to listen to us chomping away on our food.
There's shows like The Chew and all these other
Felix,
shows
you can't do it.
Dr. Mark, when's the last time you were there at Harold?
It's got to be more than 6 months, maybe even a year.
Shame on you. Or
maybe
shame on
a year.
Or shame on Felix for not taking you there.
Well,
it's so damn good. I'm getting hungry now talking to you guys, so I'm signing off now on that note because I'm hungry now.
Well, wait a second. You can't go to sleep on a full stomach like that.
Are you available?
Oh, sure I could.
You gotta talk it out.
Are you hungry?
All right, Dan.
Did you guys watch? But before you guys go, you guys watch the Oscars at all?
Yeah, I watched the whole thing.
It's good. It's really good. I thought it was good. Unless you think differently, but I thought it was pretty good.
She kept it moving, but talk about food. When they brought out the pizza, I got hungry. I
like the tip jar going around.
Hey, listen, Harvey Weinstein, the producer, gave her $200. I mean, I wonder where that money went to, because the bottom line is you can't tell me the pizza cost $200. And then everybody else was given money, and she turns to Brad Pitt, and he gave her $20, and she says, "You were in 2 movies. $20, that's all you could spare."
It was. I know, it was funny. I'm not. Yeah, I know. To me, that show, Oscars, was about them. I'm sorry to say the show, but they're kissing each other's asses for doing a great job. Being funny. But it was funny. It's still funny, though.
Well, the people who go to these things know that, at some point, some of them are going to get picked on. They're going to say something funny or sarcastic. Some of the speeches were really very nice.
Oh, absolutely.
I thought, Bill Murray did the right.
I love him.
When he mentioned, Harold Ramis, they had a very close friendship. They were in movies together. Even though Harold Ramis was mentioned in the In Memoriam, it just happened a week before. And to tell you the truth, probably Bill Murray didn't know that he was going to be mentioned because it happened so soon, But, the one thing, I don't know. I would not have put Philip Seymour Hoffman at the end, only because...
It was, right. I agree.
Because the one at the end, like the one at the beginning, should mean something. Now, Philip Seymour Hoffman, whether it was an accident or not, was an overdose, okay? He was using drugs. I mean, You could have put him in the middle somewhere. Put Sid Caesar at the end. Sid Caesar, was a beloved old-time comedian, Or Peter O'Toole, at the end, another old-time actor, But
Mark, I agree with you 100%. When his face came up at the last thing, I'm like, why would you put him at the end like that?
Because a lot of the other people weren't as relevant to the times.
Yeah, my mouth.
Well, you see, you're right, because otherwise you could argue, well, then why didn't they do it with that guy Monteith from Glee? He also OD'd. I mean, they showed his picture up there too, but it was in the middle somewhere. You know, the thing is, you can't put up, for a lot of the people sitting there, all right, the old-time actors, they would know who some of these people are. But for the younger people, they have no idea who these people are.
Right, they have no idea who these people are. Exactly right. I watched it. I watched, my father watched it, and he would know all these people. I'm watching it. I'm like, I would say, who is that? Who's this? Who's that? Who was that? Who's this? But then, I mean, again, I agree with you 100%. Going back to what you're saying, Hoffman at the end, I don't know. I'm like, oh God, how did it end it like that?
Because he's relevant to our times. The old timers were not.
I just wouldn't have put him at the end like that. How they did it, I wouldn't have done.
Well,
it.
You're right about that, Felix. I agree with you there. You know, I mean, I think they could have put somebody else there, but the bottom line is, they didn't have to put him at the end. You know.
It just seemed, I don't know what it is. I guess the end, it just seemed they emphasized it so much at the end. And like, I mean, I'm like, oh, he's my, the problem is, like, my generation, I'm looking at him, I'm like, okay, was kind of my age. I'm like, okay, I'm gonna die soon too, I guess. I don't know. And that's how I felt. I'm like, oh, it's so sad. He's right. I related to him, and why did you overemphasize at the end like that? It was nice that they just put him in the middle of that thing, but that was just, I don't know. It's hard to, when I looked at him, I'm like, oh man, I saw some movies in him, and I'm like, oh God, he's not my age really, but a little older, and I'm like, oh God. So this is, it was just sad to see it. Like, I don't know why they did him last like that.
You don't have to worry. You don't take drugs. You're not gonna hold.
I should. But anyway, all right, guys. I don't know if my time is up here. I don't know. Anyone else calling in or what, guys? Come on, someone call in. Help me out.
Yeah, really.
Yeah,
really.
Somebody call in. I don't like talking to these guys. Somebody help me. Get me off the phone. Somebody call in, please.
Hey, Dan.
Well, I got the urge to talk about my vasectomy again.
No.
I love doing that to you.
My legs are crossed now, Mark. Thanks.
Okay.
All right, guys. I'm signing out.
All right, Dan. Be well. Thanks for calling.
Not a problem, guys. Anytime. Talk to you later.
Okie doke. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
What's the one? Thanks.
Well,
it's always nice to hear from Dan.
Yes, it is.
He's a lot of fun.
All right, my host. I think we got to let the dogs in. I got to feed them. I got to throw out the garbage here. My job, and that's about it.
Okay.
We did stray a little. Can't help it. That's usually our thing.
Okay, here we go. This is the newest news just came out. Steps wait to isolate Russia. The Pentagon official says the U.S. put on hold all military engagements with Russia, including bilateral meetings, whatever the hell that means. I don't know what this means, I guess.
Well, I'm sure this will be in the news. Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday. We could even be talking about this as part of Friday's show. Who knows? Maybe on Friday, Dr. Don will be on, so he can tell us what he thinks about this whole thing.
But I think it's going to be old news within a week or two. As long as there's no violence, which right now doesn't seem.
Well, that's the thing. That's the thing. They don't want it to break out into a civil war. And that's one of the reasons I think why Russia is showing its strength right now.
Yeah, I think so too.
But anyway, Felix, it's been grand. Had a good time.
it's time to say goodnight. And you know what I didn't do all night?
What?
Flush the toilet.
Oh, no, this was a good show. You don't want to flush anything down the toilet.
Well, I was going to flush the toilet as the end of the show.
No. No, I think this was a good show.
It was.
In fact, by the way, I checked on numbers when I did the editing.
Mm-hmm.
Friday's show did very well without me.
Yeah.
Did you see the numbers?
What were you looking at? What did you see?
I was looking at Friday's show on Blog Talk. It did very well.
Okay, great. Great.
And the show before on Monday is picking up a little bit. You know, in fact, Friday's show surpassed Monday show, I believe.
Yeah,
Not sure exactly.
Well, the thing is, the way this...
You know, that was the one where the Olympics were over.
Yeah. There's
Well-
no pattern to it. You never know what's going to make it on the blog and what's not going to do well on the blog.
Hopefully, I will be in the studio on Friday. You can count on that.
All right.
Okay?
Very good. So I will say
If
farewell
not,
to you.
I will call up. But, you know, hopefully I'll be there on Friday.
All right, great. Let's say good night. Say good night.
All right, Felix.
Say good night, Doc.
Good night, Felix. Good night, audience.